It's always so fun when I get on and it's not clear if anyone's here, and then suddenly it pops up and there are a lot of people here waiting. Yay! Hope you guys are doing well. I'm so excited to be here. Hey, Tara. Hey, Naux, I think. Hi, Dawn. It is an interesting Saturday here for us in Chicagoland. It's both cold and damp and yet occasional sun, and you think it's spring for a moment. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the first live. Bonjour, Claude. You are. Oh, yes, Easter is tomorrow. Hey, Sophie. Hi, small alien. Hello, Ice. Shaylina, you're finally able to come again. That's great. Don't you normally work? You normally work today, don't you? So I'm so glad to see everybody. Definitely say hello in the chat. Dawn says I'm cool. Yes, I am cool. Hello, just call me Mink. Oh, Brandon, it's also Passover. Shalom back to you. Shalom, shalom. It's weird because I don't know if Passover's late, but Easter certainly was this year. So he says it's beautiful sunny weather in Paris. Ooh, hi, Pam. Shilling has been moving, camping, and settling. Nice. World of Anime, welcome for your first live. Hi, Sahithi. I hope I'm saying that right. Shalina, yep, I'm working, but it's been slow. Hey, Brandon. Yes, it's like I actually love the changeability of spring, just how it can go from storm to snow to bright sun to warmth. Chicago has some beautiful springs. They're normally short, but we've been having cooler weather and, later into the summer. Claude sends the beautiful sun from Paris, but of course now it's going down, of course. Yes. Dawn says, other questions. I like my own kind of stories, and oh my God, the chat's gone so fast. I like my own kind of stories, and I want to know how do you like cannot get embarrassed shown up to your parents? Well, I'm 47, no, 48. Oh, Jesus. 47, 48. I'm 48. So I am not embarrassed. I'm sure I've done more embarrassing things. My mom actually knew since I was 12 that I wrote this kind of stuff, and she was always supportive. She's a pretty awesome woman. She now lives in my same condo building with me. Just saw her last night for dinner. I think that if you're worried about what your parents think, you're not an adult. And if you are an adult and still worried about what your parents think, you need to let that go. You are an adult just like they're an adult, and you get to live your life how you want to live it. And there's absolutely nothing embarrassing about liking romance, gay romance, or any kind of romance. And I'm telling you right now, though it might be hard to think of your parents in this way, they like things too that you might find embarrassing. So I can honestly tell you that anything you've discovered is probably not really new. And parents are sexual beings too, even though we don't see them that way. Cersei Island, back again, yes. Sleepy Senseis is their first live. And they say, I have been obsessed with your writing. Hi from India. Hello from Chicago. India is so beautiful. Sahithi says, this is my first time on live. I'm excited. Great. We're happy to have you. Hi, Jaren. Brandon is also in Chicago, so you know what I mean. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. Liz says, hi, it's very early in the morning here in Australia. My first time on your stream. Well, so wonderful to have you. Brandon's in Irving Park. Well, I say Chicago, but truthfully, I'm in Evanston, so I think I'm lying. But we're north of the lake. Everybody just says Chicago because it's easier when you live around here because, the middle of the country, a lot of people don't know much about it. Nice. Hello, Evan. Hello, Yasaman. Let's see. Shilina says, about to lock up my office for an hour so I can at least get an hour of uninterrupted listening of our podcast. Nice. Tara says she's getting weird weather in Oregon, snow on Tuesday, and hail a couple times since. And that's in the Willamette Valley. Wow, I hope the wine is not affected. I was in the Willamette Valley, and I can tell you it's gorgeous and amazing and great wine. I'm glad I'm pronouncing some people's names slightly correct. Just if I get your name wrong, bear with me. Bear with me. That's always good. Brandon says, just stopping by to say hello, signed up for the subscriptions, and currently in the middle of reading Binge of Everdark. Very nice. Gonna listen to the podcast later. Much support. Listen to you next time. Well, thank you for showing up, Brandon. I hope you have a very nice Saturday in Irving Park. Lily, hello, Crystal. Claude says, people who know you not always love what you create, and you don't always agree with people who love your art. That is absolutely true. But I think that it's something to keep in mind that your parents are people too. They are fully three-dimensional people with hopes, dreams, kinks, prejudices, all of it. I mean, they're just your parents to you, but they're real full people. And most of us, especially as I've gotten older, and I know I'm older than many of you, to be perfectly honest, this illusion that when you become an adult, that you are so much wiser and so much know what's going on and you have your life together is not really true. You're still feeling your way forward on a lot of things, to be perfectly honest. You don't suddenly change just because you're older or even have a child. Although you change in some ways, I should say that, but you don't suddenly stop. You don't suddenly stop being a full adult, a full person is what I'm trying to say. Hi, Angelica. Very sleepy from Japan, I bet. It's like 4 in the morning, yes? Hello from Germany, Lady Jean. Oh, Sleepy Sensei. Eleanor Willow is just like, Lily, hello. Evan, any tips for character development? Oh, that's a really good one. I normally start, to be honest with you, it's really, I can't say that there's a workman-like way that I've ever gone about it, but I try to sit down first with the look of the person and their name. And their name is really important. We just in Empire of Stars, I used a character that one of the members created, and the name is wrong for them. It does not work at all. And I was like, I did not want to use this name, but they had named him that. So I decided I was going to do so for this first chapter, so he'd recognize his character, and then I'm going to change it, which he's all okay with. But the name is really important. Physically, what they look like is important. And then you start adding in things like hobbies, beliefs, character archetype. Character archetype is really huge. Are they a hero type? Are they an anti-hero? Are they shy? Are they brave? Are they selfish? In some ways, generous in others. You have to think about them in terms of traits and sort of build them into a real person. Give them friends, give them a backstory, give them parents, give them children, maybe, give them past lovers. Where have they been? What do they do? So, truthfully, you've got to build this person out. You've got to learn them just like you would learn somebody that you're first meeting. Ask them questions, which I know sounds strange. Like ask yourself questions. No, you're really asking the character. They're in your head. Your brain's working on them. Natalie says, where I'm at, it's 9 p.m. So you're in Europe? I bet you're in Europe. Cersei Island is currently reading Sanctuary 2. I'm having so much fun. I'm so glad you do. You are. I'm having Kat pull stories out of the vault, i.e. the library, and sending them to old members to see if they will be interested in reading them. Tara's like, true, the wine here in Willamette Valley is great. It is truly great. Hi, Kamal. So, Gabrielle, I keep getting this wrong for her or him. I'm writing a fan fiction of Pride and Prejudice while listening to this. Good vibes. I love Pride and Prejudice. That is like the freaking, it's just such a great, great book. And the author, she really understood human nature. And I think that's what makes her so good. And even though she wrote this a long time ago, you recognize that, as much as people change, they say the same, right? There are people all over the world, indeed, Eleanor, who are on the Discord and who are members of Raythe. It's really amazing to me. So I took some medication so I would not be coughing and sneezing and snotting today, but it's still pretty bad here in Chicago for me for allergies. So I'll just warn you that. Evan's dog is trying to steal his food, which is always fun. Just Call Me Mink is rereading some of the serials for like the third time. Love your work. Thank you. I was just recently hideously embarrassed because it's ironic. I'm writing Everdark Academy, which is a sequel to Everdark, but it's been a while since I don't go back and reread Everdark. I don't have time to go back and reread the stories, but I actually reintroduced a character as a big bad who I'd already had dispatched in Everdark. And I went back and thankfully Sophie like caught it for me. She's like, "Yeah, do you remember these chapters?" I'm like, "No." And I really didn't. And I realized that in truth, I felt like they were not when I look back at it, I'm like, I wasn't satisfied at the time. And I realized I really wanted to deal with this again. But it's always fun when you guys have reread them so many times. And I can say, guys, what the hell was this person's hair color, name, backstory? And then I get the members telling me in the comments, and I just love you for it. Claire, we're so happy you made the live stream. Devilish Child, hello, loving this podcast. Thank you. Claude says, and I am far older than you, so last, my parents are long gone. Oh, Claude, yeah, I know. My dad's gone. He died, nearly 10 years ago now, but we were not close. He was a complicated person, I'll just put it that way, but my mom is still with me. I think that I hope as people grow older, they become more understanding of their parents and friends with their parents, if that's possible. But I know that's not always possible. Shaylina says, Texas has weird weather, 80 degrees during the day, then had a storm and hail at night, but been constantly in the 80s now. Nice. Yeah, Chicago's still cold. It's not terribly unusual for us. I've really found that we're now staying cold through June, which is interesting. Or cool, which it's perfectly fine. I'm good with that. Claude says, till the character gains some independence, starts acting by himself. Laugh out loud. That's very true. They do. Let's see. Barry Lemur says, I am still reeling that my beloved Chal was chosen for the story. Yes. So so Empire of Stars, as you guys know, it's like 93 chapters now, some of you on the site. And I asked last year, and even before that, I was like, help me build an alien. And so people built these very detailed aliens for me. And I am finally now coming and adding them to the crew because, my God, so much has happened. And so I took Deltos Matt and Vera Lemur's characters and have thoroughly and utterly enjoyed adding them to the story. There's a lot that I'm trying to like elegantly encompass because there's a lot of detail in both their descriptions, and some stuff's there that I would typically know myself and other stuff isn't there, which is interesting. So, but it's been a lot of fun. That's one of the things that, for those of you who are not members, may not know, but I actually asked the members for a lot of input on stuff like that. For Dragon's Reign, they helped me design a lot of the dragons, actually, which was very cool. And it's been so much fun. So much fun. Crystal says, give them parents so that you can kill them. Yeah. I'm like Disney in that way. It's a big thing, but I always kill all the parents of my main characters. Although those that aren't dead are awesome. And the reason for that is, and the reason I think Disney does it too, is because if you have parents, you often have a safety net there if something goes wrong, and you don't want that safety net there if you're in the middle of a story. The next serial I'm doing, the parents are dead too. All right. Cersei says, Sophie, I love the new characters that were introduced last chapter. They are really interesting. And I think of it as a challenge because these two characters are not ones that I would have ever thought of. One is basically a lizard man But he's like the engineer. He's the head engineer, and I added a little bit about him speaking with a Scottish accent. And he is lewd, crude, and yet incredibly good at his job. And he's going to make love to the Osiris, damn it. And the other character is Meows, but that's not going to be his name. I think I'm going to change it to Fennec or something else. It's very cool. He is, in fact, an elemental assassin. Though he can look like a person, he can turn into water, mist, fog, all these types of cool things. He's half human, half Nocer. And they're assassins with little emotion, except his, of course, human side has emotion. So sort of think Spock like that. So Kamal says, question, will we get character shorts of the other dragons and then Caden families and others? No, I don't think so. I'm doing something really huge right now. I'm always doing something huge, but I mean, I'm really doing something huge right now. So I don't have time to do that right now. We're going to be focusing on the next big thing, as always. And besides, I feel like I love Dragon's Reign. In fact, I miss it terribly. But I think it's sort of like the perfect story in that world. And it really, if I think I wrote another story in that world, I just don't think it would be as good. And while I love that people are interested in the other dragons in the family, I want to sort of leave it open in case something does come to me. Because there are things where I'll suddenly have like a brainstorm down the line and be like, I want to tell that story. And if I've actually laid out like, other little parts of it, that means I'm sort of limited by that. Tara says, I've been rereading everything, made it through all the Winter Haven and Fell stuff over the last month. My God. I'm telling you right now, I'm impressed. Because Winter Haven is huge. Winter Haven connects like, I don't know, what is it, like 10 stories? It's huge. It's like it's probably it's thousands upon thousands of pages. Thousands upon thousands. It's huge. Lily is writing chapter 5 of her Delgar fic. This chapter is taking me a long time. I know everyone's looking forward to that. That is a Demos Elgar pairing from Everdark Academy. It's not official canon, but I know that some would like it to be. World of Anime says, even though it's my first live, I'm not going to be able to stay for the story because I have a few chapters to catch up still. Aw, that's okay. We'll miss you. Kamal says, hope you get well, Raythe. Going through a cold is well not fun. I have constant allergies now. Like, I swear to God, 365 days a year. I don't know. It sucks. It really does. And it's not too bad when I'm not talking, like, extensively like this. But if I am, I have to take medication because otherwise I'll be snotting all over the place. Joy says, I forgot this was happening today. I'm glad I'm here. We're glad you're here too. Elizabeth says she's writing a shifter book right now. Nice. Well, let us know when it's done, what the title is, so we can look at it and read it. Brandon says, oh, before I forget, I know you don't do MPreg. I don't do MPreg. So they know there is no baby. There is nothing like that. No babies. No babies. I don't like babies in general. I don't like kids. I like a lot of kids like me, and I loved my nieces and nephew, and I still do. But no babies, nothing like that. And it's like my partner's watching a horror movie, which is sort of how babies feel to me. Let's see here. Claude says the first species are quite interesting. No spoilers. Yeah, they are quite interesting. You guys did a great job in them. Okay, I keep dropping Diet Coke on myself, which is sort of funny here. Shaylina got her friend hooked into Dragon's Reign. Next will be Empire, so she can listen to live stream. Good deal. Gabrielle says Disney does it because Walt Disney had issues with his parents. I did not know that. Is that true? That's really fascinating. Vera's asking, what details do you need for Chal? I needed to know what he sounded like, which is why I had him be Scotty. But I thought they just fit. But if I need to know more, I'll let you know. But truthfully, he will start growing in my head, and it will just naturally happen, who he is. Now, mind you, that means, of course, it won't be your headcanon anymore. It will go farther away from what you think, which is just unfortunately one of the things which happens when it someone else is writing your character. But I hope you like this version of him. Sophie says, I love all the aliens, and since we're getting so many awesome characters in the story who will all need some time in the spotlight, I'm ready for the story to be 300 chapters long, with 3 spin offs and a TV live adaptation in 10 seasons. Please and thank you. I know, right? I looked at this, I'm like, this thing's going to be really 300 page. It's going to be 300 chapters. Like, it's fascinating. See, he says an element shifter. I don't know if I call him a shifter. They are actually just able to change into water, air, mist, and stuff. I guess it could be an element shifter. Joy says Disney kills parents because of trauma. Yeah, that's part of it too. I think Bambi really just did it for everyone. Sophie says, can you tell us a bit more about the secret project? Not yet, but soon. Kat is not on the stream today. She has some family business to do. And in all honesty, I think she'd kill me if I said anything. Hello, Daniela. Nice to have you back. Aniko, you're here. Sarah May is reading Everdark and on the fell right now. Fun. Excellent. Hey, Kenzie. Hey, Mark. From Kenya, no less. Oh my God, we really do have people from all over the world. It's amazing. Sleepy Sensei also has a terrible case of sniffles. Yeah, allergy season sucks. If only it weren't all year now. Sophie says, Khoth and Jace don't need a baby. They have chili. They will. Sleepy Sensei, you get well too? And Elizabeth says, my story's about shifters who can have kids. And I'm like, I will not read, but I'm sure others will love it. Shaylina says she wants to reread or start some stories, but I'm so busy that I'm afraid to start because then I wouldn't do anything else because your stories just stick with me and they're so good. Thank you. I've been scared of kids. I'm not scared of them. I just know how incredibly you have to dedicate yourself to them because my parents did not. So I get that. Joy is also dealing with allergies. Yeah, it's just miserable, man. Claude, I suppose we'll have Labyrinth next week. We will. Jade says she's late. It's okay. We're really, there's just been so many comments, and I'm just like trying to get into everything. I haven't even started reading yet, so that's all right. Laughing my ass off. Love that the chat is divided by continent, united by allergies. Get well soon, everyone. Naux. They convinced our friend to start listening to Dragon's Reign, and I'm so happy about it because now I can share how much I love it with my friend. Yes, that's awesome. And Evan says, bro, Disney kills parents like it's a hobby. I love that. It's so damn true. Millie says, I still haven't read the last 2 chapters of The Fell. Do you not want to know what happens? Kenzie's getting snow. It's April. Yes. Even with allergies, Raythe's voice is still so soothing. I don't know about that. I'm really very nasal. All right, so we seem to have gotten through these initial comments. At least I know you guys are anxious to actually hear the chapter. So without any more delay, you can. We're going to turn to the first chapter. Oh my God, more comments. It's amazing. At some point, it's like if we ever, it's just, we have like 50 some people get on, which is awesome. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if when we get more at some point, it's going to be crazy. I don't know how people do it. I guess they don't really read the comments. I guess they don't. Maybe not. I don't know. You couldn't. Anyway. Okay. So for those of you who have not been here before, how this works is simple. I'm going to read 2 chapters today of the story. I am going to divide those chapters up into 2 or 3 parts. There will be Diet Coke breaks. And you can, of course, put your comments, questions, and everything else in the chat while I'm reading. Just know that I will not see them until I take a break, and then I go through the comments and I react to them. And I am thrilled to react to them. And you can ask about pretty much anything. And I try to answer those too, because it's a nice time to talk and also catch up. And I know that people just have random questions that they don't get a chance to ask me. And I know that if you have a question, trust me that like 100 other people have that same question. So go ahead and ask. Um, but we're going to start. We're going to start, man. All right. So good to be with you guys. Chapter 60. Data. The Canso flew in a wide circle around the Maturin compound. The buildings were modern and highly technologically advanced, from the calcanth that was used to clad them to the power and data lines that only Jace could see. Those lines went deep into the earth, and he found himself following them into vast, labyrinthine spaces where they linked to massive machines that purred and hummed instead of roared. Dust and the debris of ages coated many of the tunnels and rooms. The machines still gleamed, but it was clear that no one had ever ventured down there since the Altaith had left. The Thafel, Jace truly realized now, did not know how the city worked, or that it wasn't working at full capacity. There were many machines that were dark, many lines that were empty. Those that were working, just like the Maturin compound's force field, were malfunctioning on some level. In time, maybe less time than the Fel knew, all the technology that depended on would fail. There would be more dark, silent machines where no lifeblood of power built and swelled. When he concentrated on those machines, he felt life in them, life desiring to be brought back again. His head hurt more, and he rubbed his forehead. But I can fix this, Jace thought with a certainty that was born deep inside of him. I'm meant to fix this. Osiris? Yes, pilot. The ship's AI seemed a little tentative. He hadn't spoken to it since the revelation that he was an Eltaith. He was still struggling with that, and it was not just him that was going to struggle with it. His parents had to be told, of course, and then the crew. Would he want this revealed to the Alliance? But that was a question to be answered at another time. Osiris, I want you to provide me with a report about the planet's systems. What can be fixed? What is necessary in order to fix it? All of that, Jace instructed. Yes, pilot. Osiris? Yes. He wasn't sure what he wanted to say, but finally he found himself stating, I know that all of this is new for us, not just for me, but for you and Gehenna. He sensed the Osiris wanting to point out that there were similar situations and things they had dealt with, but stopped itself. Because this wasn't really true, and things hadn't gone so well how they'd sprung this on him this time. I was offline when the crew left. The Osiris's voice was small. They left you? Jace felt he was touching something very tender here. The one, the pilot before. She ceased, the Osiris whispered. None of the others could be the pilot. They could not repair me, and the cool would be drawn to me. They had to leave. Jace imagined the Altaith climbing out of the downed Osiris and standing in the sand where sunrise would be. He thought of them clutching a few possessions they could carry with them. They were in a world where the species wasn't advanced. They were being hunted by the cool, and their pilot was gone. So not just any Altaith can be the pilot? Jace's eyebrows rose. Only her daughter had the potential ability, but she was too young, an infant, the Osiris explained. She was your ancestor. Jace considered this. Sometime, very long ago, a baby Altaith who had lost her mother, her world, her people, had made her way into adulthood and had children of her own. She would have had no idea about him or how her genes would allow a new pilot to be born. Why was there only one pilot? What was your purpose? You're a warship, Jace pointed out. You speak to me of my purpose, but it doesn't appear that those Altaith who you were last weren't seeking to destroy the cool. Some of the data from that time period is damaged or was deleted, the Osiris responded. But I do know that those who took me were not those who made me. Except for the pilot. Yes, except for her, the Osiris answered. There must have been a reason the last pilot did what she did, Jace pointed out. That information is not available, the Osiris answered in a more mechanical voice. Jace didn't think that the Osiris was hiding things from him. It really didn't know. The pilot. Her name was Jexa, the Osiris murmured. That's like my name. Similar, Jace admitted. Yes, I do not believe that it is a coincidence. There are genetic memories that stay, memories of the pilot in your parents' blood and those before them, in yours now, the Osiris said. You miss her, Jace realized. I am incapable of such an emotion. The Osiris was tart. Really? Because I feel it in every word you say, Jace said with a sad smile. She was only with me for a cycle, 3 subcycles, 15, a short while, huh? So you don't miss that time at all, that you remember down to the second? Jace snickered. I remember everything down to the millisecond, the Osiris replied, with that tartness that Jace was fond of. A tart Osiris meant a happy Osiris. Well, I might not be Jexa. I'm sure I can't fill her shoes. But I'm here now, Osiris, Jace said, and we've got to work better together. There was a long silence, but then the Osiris said, She never allowed fear to deter her from her duty. Even at the end, the light came for her, and the darkness followed. She stood firm. Jace's throat went tight. Sounds like an amazing person. She was the pilot. Jace let out a breath. She was the pilot, and that's what being a pilot meant. Well, then that's something to know and remember, Jace said. He cleared his tight throat. Now, please let me know when that report is ready. Yes, pilot. A section of the now green force field winked out of existence, and the Canso flew inside. Seeing that green force field, feeling it crackle with the proper energy, eased some of the tension in Jace's head. He frowned. Jace looked up at Khoth and murmured, I think maybe my head isn't just hurting because of an emotional storm. Khoth quickly glanced down. The concern in his handsome face was obvious. The guilt was obvious too, though Khoth didn't know everything that was in Jace's head that had been swirled with jealousy and concern. He knew enough that Typhon and Thadden greeting them had set it off. How so? Khoth asked. The city. It's not right. Jace gestured to the city. There are so many things broken, and I can fix them. That's what is hurting my head. It's like when I first connected with the Osiris to bring metal rain. You can fix what is wrong. Khoth lifted his eyebrows. Yeah, Jace scrubbed the back of his head. Of course. You are an Altaith and have the Osiris, Khoth murmured. He glanced over at where Typhon, Davies, Hayter, and Thadden stood by the windows and looked out. They had started to descend to the landing pad on top of the ziggurat. Yeah, I think, well, there's like a symbiosis between me and the city's tech. All of it. I can feel the broken lines, the dark machines, the mispowering fields. It hurts, Jace admitted. But I can't just start fixing things, right? That would totally freak people out. He looked up at Khoth again as if to confirm he couldn't just do that. He'd only asked for the Osiris for a report. It didn't mean he was going to start running down and fixing what was wrong. They didn't have time for that. His head throbbed as a Canso landed. I am certain that Typhon would happily allow you to fix anything you like, Khoth said a little dryly. Jace laughed. Yeah, well, it might help me get some of this out of my system. Not that I want to help him, mind you, because I so don't. But he rubbed his temples as there was a stabbing pain there. Khoth looked concerned and touched his lower back briefly. If it makes you feel better, do it. Care not if it helps or hinders him. Do what is best for you. Thanks. I needed to hear that, Jace said. The door hissed as it opened and lifted upwards. The stairs lowered. Typhon stepped out first. There was a half a dozen Thafel waiting for them in the landing pad. One was a handsome female Thafel whose bone structure looked suspiciously like Typhon's. She wore dark blue robes, but hers had cutouts along the sides, shoulders, and stomachs, showing the Thafel's lovely blue skin. Her white hair had many of the same cell sheet as Typhon's, but she'd also won flowers that glowed with an almost luminescent fire into braided sections of it. Dark blue lipstick was applied to a center stripe of her lips, and the same shade darkened her eyelids. Typhon went to her immediately. They clasped hands and rested their foreheads together. This show of physical affection was surprising. The Fel didn't do that. Yet when they broke apart, both were smiling and appearing almost refreshed from being in each other's presence. This is Amana, and I just realized I had her name wrong. Oh my god. That is Amana, Typhon's younger sister. She is a musician and poet, well renowned in Halcyon, Khoth murmured. It was unnecessary because the Osiris provided him with that and a lot more information. Jace liked to know how Khoth viewed things. There were more than cold facts and figures in Khoth's descriptions. Do you like her? Jace asked. She is highly intelligent, and though a musician, she keeps her Z and Za mostly in balance. Oh, high praise. Jace's lips twitched. As they watched the continued communing between brother and sister, Khoth shifted slightly uncomfortably. Poets and musicians are allowed to be more effusive in their displays of Z, Khoth explained with slight stiffness. Oh, right, yeah, that makes sense. Thama said she came from a family of artists and stuff, Jace remembered. Indeed, that is why she is so. Khoth struggled to find the right words. Open, warm, honest? Jace offered. I am honest. Khoth looked a little stung. Oh, I didn't mean. I just meant about what she feels and what she thinks we're feeling and why, Jace soothed. Looking slightly mollified, Khoth nodded. Yes, I understand your description better now. Good. But I think you're the best, right? Jace whispered into the cusp of Khoth's nearest ear. That ear twitched. I was unaware of that extreme level of high regard. Well, now you know. Jace smiled and wished he could loop his arm through Khoth's and lean against him, but no such luck. They had to just stand there. You are aware, Khoth's gaze slid to him in a way, that I hold you in similar regard. Jace's smile grew and his headache eased. I didn't know that. I sort of knew that. Well, maybe a little, but I'm glad to have it confirmed. Good. Jace's face hurt from smiling so hard. Thinking now of his earlier jealousy and panic about Typhon and Thaden, he was completely annoyed at himself about that. But Khoth was his anchor. Even now, he was able to accept this whole Altaith business with some grace because Khoth had proposed to him and he had said yes. No, it wasn't quite that, or maybe it was, but he felt almost buoyant because of it despite everything. He felt almost ready to face the day. Okay, let's take a little break here. I need a drink. I need a drink, man. Okay, what do we got here? Scrolling up. Sahithi says, children are scary. My cousin stabbed me in the eye with a balloon pump. That's because I was saying I'm not a fan of kids. I know, kids are mean, man. Kamal says, started going for the lies, but there's the clip things in YouTube where you can skip to the part you want to go to if you can. Put that in for the live streams. It will be helpful. I will look into that. I know I've been seeing it too, so other people can do it. I'm wondering if Restream IO can do it. I'm sure it can. I'll have to ask Kat. I think it's something that I have to do, so I'll have to learn. I'll look into it though. Lily says, I don't want it to end. It's not ending up for a long time. I mean, really, the rate we're going, maybe 500 chapters is more accurate. Joy says, how I imagine all of the dragons. Valerius, Emo, Caden, Cuddly Cat, Tez, the cat, Answer, and the most chill one Alarian, closest pansexual, May, trust issues, Kayla, little siblings, Esme, the grandma. Oh my god. Lady Jean said, just started reading the Merman 2, and I almost love it more than the first one. Nice. Yeah, we're doing, just so you guys remember, if you are not sign up for our newsletter because we have free books all the time. Like if you are not subscribed to YouTube or Facebook, but honestly, it's really the newsletter. You will get all the free stuff, and then all the coupons, and you'll find out when things are happening right away. I'm so glad. I love the merman. It's such a fun story. Joy says, Blood Alarian? I really want to make fan fiction about that. Good Lord. Vera Lemur says, I am so worried that Raythe reading will soothe me back to sleep. It is 4 a.m. for me. I know you're in Japan. Just rest. Hello, Molly. James, you didn't miss much. I just did the first part of 60. James says, last I heard, Jace was having a migraine and was threatened by Khoth's first lover. I think that you missed a few chapters. Evan says his partner's begging me to go to bed, so we got to go and listen when you wake up. All right, take care. Take care, Lily. Have a good call. The artisan is here. They say, hi, Raythe. I finally made it to a stream. Laugh out loud. I've been trying to read the fic out loud, and God, it was a struggle. Especially sci-fi with the names. So Eleanor says, so does it have to be Diet Coke or is it Coke Zero just as good? No, Diet Coke and Coke Zero taste absolutely different. Because Coke Zero was supposed to be taste more like original, full sugar Coke, which it might, but I don't think so. Nothing as good as Mexican Coke. Mexican Coke with real sugar is the best, but Diet Coke is its own flavor, and I like it best. I used to hate it, but now I can't imagine drinking anything else, as you guys know. And by the way, Diet Coke tastes different when it's cold versus when it's cold and poured over ice versus warm or warm and poured over ice. It's really fascinating. And the fact that I know that is very sad. David, welcome to your first stream. Hi from Los Angeles. My God, we really do have just everybody. Claude said, question, what is a canso? I searched everywhere apart from the famous ship. It's the limo. It's basically that long flying limo. That's what the canso is. And I made it sound like cool because it's French. Name-ish. I love that. I saw like, woohoo. James says he prefers zero sodas over diets. Yeah, I mean, people have different tastes. I think zeros taste sweeter, but they seem to have less carbonation. And I love that almost like burn of the carbonation, which sounds a little weird. God, even with medication, I'm still, ugh. Joy is eating ice cream and crying. No. Sophie says she's down for 500 chapters. Who is not? Come on in. Maria's coming in. Maria is the best. Hello. So she's here helping me. She's helped me for years because I'm just like cleaning adverse. Do what you got to do. So she's like cleaning around me because she's going on a wonderful vacation, and she's come again like early to do this. So I have to definitely thank her big time. Okay, so Sleepy Sensei says, laugh out loud. Jace is literally me when someone responds to my poor attempts at flirting. I find him so adorable and feel attacked at the same time. No. What I think I love about Jace's character is, it's always ridiculous when we see these television shows where these incredibly beautiful people are supposed to be the nerd. I mean, it's like, come on, that would never happen in high school. You're like clearly physically attractive. And Jace is clearly physically attractive, I think, although he was very, very sickly looking. But at the same time, you could see how his difference would have really set him apart. But I think he probably would have had more takers than not. But Sunrise is a small town, so. David says, I vote for Pepsi Zero over Coke Zero. No, Pepsi is like sweet tarts in liquid form, which I like sweet tarts, but not in liquid form. The RT Stan says, actually, wait, can we get some more Alarian moments? There's tons more in the end of Dragon's Reign. So you're just going to have to love him in your head, which I know everyone's sad about that ending. Believe me, I was actually reading chapter 131 or 132 And in all honesty, I was weeping because oh, Mew, you were moved from the bed from her. Oh, betrayal. Betrayal.
She was under the.
Oh.
I'm sure she hates me.
I know. She's like, oh.
I'm sorry, I didn't know this.
And I grabbed the pillow. By the way, I have one of the pillows here. So just shoot me a thing. Anyway. Horse Lover says, how are you so good at, by the way, Maria was just changing the bed and Mew was asleep underneath the covers, so she was disturbed. Mew's my cat. And Mew's like, I don't understand. Horse Lover says, how are you so good at writing? I'm so jealous. I've been writing for 6 years and I still write like I'm 5. Believe me, when I read some stuff back, I think, my God, how did I write this? Both good and bad stuff. In all honesty, I think that if you looked back from the first stuff you wrote to the now stuff you're writing now, Horse Lover, you will find that you have improved. It really is an art as much as a craft. It's truly, you have to keep doing it like as much as possible. And I think I've improved because A, I've done it a lot more. B, I've gotten all the responses from people about what works and what doesn't work. And C, I think I just stopped believing there's a perfect story. And so I've been open to trying new things. Joy says she meant blonde Valerian, not blood Valerian. Thank God. Let's see here. The vid JK Watcher should work if you enable chapters on the live stream settings. Okay, I will look into that. I don't think I can change it now. James says, bummer, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm kind of thrilled to actually catch a live reading. Don't go anywhere. You can always follow through. It's you didn't miss a ton. So don't worry about that. If you're listening to this. So it's all good. Don said he really got jealous. That's so cute. He did. Back to the thing I was saying about, like being ridiculous that someone so attractive would not be popular. Jace really couldn't be with people because of his illness. I mean, he was seriously ill, so he could not really hang with people because he had to be in a darkened room, perfectly silent. Shaylin says, I think I missed like 20 or 30 chapters. Don't care. I've missed listening to podcasts, so I'm going to listen as much as I can, then I will go back and read it. Good deal. Sophie says, I love that English speakers think that French words sound cool and fancy. They do, Sophie. They do. French words are awesome. They really, just adding that sort of Frenchified thing. I mean, it's always like, to be honest with you, I'm sure that you, a real French person, is like, oh God, what has she done with that? But still, it's very fancy. French is the best. Eleanor says she likes Mountain Dew Zero over Diet Coke. I really love actually Mountain Dew Zero. Oh, Mountain Dew Zero over Mountain Dew. Oh, Diet Mountain Dew. Actually, Mountain Dew Zero is really good. That actually tastes like real Mountain Dew. Diet 7-Up also tastes like Diet 7-Up, which is interesting. I mean, Diet 7-Up does, of course. Diet 7-Up tastes like regular 7-Up. David said, will the audio for EOS be uploaded to Spotify? No, because the issue with Spotify is, unlike YouTube where you can create different playlists, you cannot do that with Spotify. So if I were to do a Dragon's Reign chapter and then I were to do a EOS chapter, the EOS chapter would just appear right after the Dragon's Reign chapter. There would be no way to separate it, no way to segregate it, no way to do it unless we did a completely different podcast, which we're not going to do because then we'd have to start from the beginning of readers and people would have to, it's just too hard. We looked into it and it's just not going to happen. Plus, and this is just something to note, for those of you who do listen to Spotify, if you could also like give a listen on YouTube, because we're now finally able to monetize some of it. We do not get any money at all from Spotify. So your listens do absolutely nothing to us. So unless you, as a Spotify listener, buy a book or, quite frankly, sign up for a membership, which we really hope you do because that would be amazing. We just don't get any money for it. And it's not supporting the people in the podcast and anything. So, but YouTube, at least, we're able to now turn on ads. We're slowly doing that and being very careful about it because we fully expect to be demonetized, and the join button. So we're working towards that. So at least, even if you see that, give a few tenths of a cent when you're, watching on YouTube, if you can't do anything else, that actually supports the podcast. So please do listen to it here rather than over on Spotify, or listen to it both. Just if you could. Annika says, I've been working on the encyclopedia update. Yes, good. I was just thinking about that, Aniko. James agrees on the carbonation burn, although he's a Dr. Pepper guy. But I'm diabetic now, so it's all zeros all the time. Yeah, I'm diabetic too. Believe me. It sucks. Although I just tell myself, really what we have is just an allergy to sugar. Extreme allergy. Just Call Me Mink says, when I was in high school, students had this big debate about how sodas taste, similar or different. Even after all these years later, it's still considered a controversial topic among my friends. Oh my God. The artisan wants to see Mew. I did put a picture of her up. I will another time, but she's now awake, although grumpy. The artisan says, yeah, for writing, I've redone one story hundreds of times, and I usually just go for it, and then I'm actually planning it out this time, and it's going better, which is good. That's, I will say, those of you who write, you have to figure out what your writing style is. Are you a pantser? Are you a plotter? Are you some combination of it? Obviously, I'm a pantser, which means that I write from the seat of my pants, which means I just write it as it goes. But obviously, after I've done a whole thing, sometimes I will do the remix, like Vampires Club. It's like a remix of Sanctuary. The Merman is a remix of The Sea. And I think those stories are stronger. Some of them are. Some of them are not. They're different, I guess. They let me explore different areas. Sleepy Sensei said, this was such an experience, Raythe. It was good talking to you in the chat. You've got to go tackle tax law. Oh, God. See you next time for sure. Cersei Island says, as I'm reading the Winterhaven universe, I noticed there are many love scenes in the bath and shower. Not complaining. Are you a water sign? No, I'm a fire sign. I'm an Aries. But I love the water. You got to make things interesting. You got to basically, when you're writing a lot of sex scenes, you got to make it like more exciting. So I think with water, it can be more exciting. Joy says, I'm learning French right now. It is really fun to learn. Excellent. I took many, many years of Spanish, and I still can't speak it. I think we don't do it right in the U.S., or I just didn't do it right learning it. The artisan is also leaving. Love you, the cat. Take care. Bob says, I love Dragon's Reign. If I had a suggestion for a small reading issue, who should I send it to? Small reading issue. I would not send it to anyone, Bob. We're not doing anything going forward on Dragon's Reign. We're going to finish up the story, and then we're on to something new. If you mean that there's like reading issue, like, for example, the cat mewing in the background or me making a mistake, cat sometimes leaves them in by accident or on purpose just to tease everyone. So if you had an idea for Dragon's Reign, right, Dragon's Reign is finished. So nothing changes. Ross says, when Raythe reads, I feel it in my bones like ice. Wow. Joy says, thanks to Valerius, I am reading Lord of the Rings now. Valerius is a big Lord of the Rings fan. James says, oh, to be in your mid-40s and big. Do you mean big as in, well, I'm big as in fat, but yeah, big. Sophie says, wait, you're not getting any money from Spotify? No, we don't. With all the views you have here, no, we do not get it. Cannot monetize it. Hopefully a large part of the podcast listeners become members. I hope so too. A lot of them do come over. They just don't know that, because mostly if you think about it, with podcasts, what do you have? You have sponsors, right? Nobody's going to sponsor us. We're not big enough, in all truth. But B, who would sponsor us? Even though we all know that this is just an adventure storytelling and gay romance. Remember what I've told you, gay equals porn to most people out there. Not us, but they would have to be taking real risks to give us some advertising dollars in their mind. Eleanor says she's kind of in between, a plantser. Yeah, a lot of people, you just got to figure out what your writing style is and lean into it. Tara says, I don't have the talent or creativity to write, but love to read, especially works. Thank you, Tara. Look, I can't paint worth a damn, but I love looking at art. I love it. Let's see. Kenzie says, I'm a type 1 diabetic and have been for almost 15 years. It gets easier to deal with if you give yourself grace and time to deal with it. My dad was a type 1 and I was tested forever in my life. But I became a type 2, which, a lot of people blame on the person, but it's just not true. And it's been, I've not been good with it. I'm on insulin now, and actually that's been better. But it's caused me to gain a lot more weight, and I've always been heavy, and it's been interesting but I've always had to have sort of I've always been disordered eating, because literally a doctor put me on a diet when I was like a little kid. And so it just started this downward spiral. But then I was doing basically no carb eating for a long time. And ironically, I just got less fat. I was never thin. And then you end up not being able to do that long time. At least I couldn't. I did it for 3 years. I did keto for 3 years, extreme keto, and it just couldn't do it. Anyway, it's okay. I mean, I can manage it. Eleanor says NaNoWriMo also uses the terms planner and pantser, and they have tons of other writing resources. Absolutely. If you're interested, go there and look at that. World of Animes has been reading your stuff for a few months now. I've listened to Dragon's Reign and also reading Cinders and Ashes on Kindle. I can't wait until May because I'm finally able to get a membership. Thank you. We're so happy to have you guys. Seriously. I know it's like one more subscription, although we were a subscription before it was cool to be a subscription. I will tell you that. But it's just so important and meaningful. I know a lot of authors and a lot of artists don't like talking about money, and I don't want to be crass talking about money because I'm actually, it always makes it seem like, oh, we don't care if you just like our stuff, if you can't give us $1. What it means, and I know a lot of people who've been at Raythe a long time understand that all the money you give gives me more time in order to create. I still have a day job because I need to make sure as the boss that the boss eats last, but we have dedicated tech support. Anyone who's ever dealt with Jeremy knows what a joy he is. We have full time with Kat, who is both the marketer and the business person who helps with so much stuff. We have Mathia, who does all this beautiful art. We have T-Wolf, who is doing Dark Earth. By the way, there's more Dark Earth being published on the site, as well as another manga that she's doing. We also then have now Sylvia Frost, who does all the beautiful design work. Without them, Raythe cannot exist. It's that simple. It just couldn't. I couldn't do it on my own. But it also gives me the freedom to do stories like The Wicked Path or The Fell that can't be published anywhere else, to be perfectly honest. It also lets me take risks. Certain things have been risks that have worked, like Dragon's Reign, and others that haven't worked as well. Labyrinth is a big fan of those who like it, but it's just not very popular. But I was able to do it and get it out of my system, and then I'm going to choose something else next time. But I really think that it allows me to take risks that I otherwise couldn't do. And in all honesty, what I do hope is that I will be able to quit my job at some point, but healthcare is a big issue in the US. And it's just really, you provided for amazing talent, amazing for my, just made my life so much deeper and more important. But just like anything else, if you think to yourself, if I had to do my hobby consistently for others, what would make sure that I do it consistently? Well, time, right? And the only way you make time for something is if you're being paid for it a lot of times, because you have to make that, determination. So it's really important. So if you love something, especially something that's niche like Raythe, supporting it monetarily is a huge thing. Your dollars mean a hell of a lot more to me than they do to Disney, for example. Not that Disney doesn't want your dollars, but it makes a big difference. Joy says, I've been stalking the Dragon Reign fan fiction. Yes, it's on the Discord. Okay, Bob says, okay, no worries. You read prostrate as prostate. No worries, we get it. Bob, you just have to really understand that we're not going to go back and edit that stuff. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. James says, yeah, that's me, but I'm dieting. I'm down to 315 for 360. Woohoo. Congratulations. I think I've lost and gained hundreds of pounds over the years. I'm stopping right now. I can't. It's really destructive for me. So I'm very glad for you, but I do not do dieting talk at all anymore. Eleanor says, the glory of Spotify is that's how a lot of people find Dragon's Reign, and then they get Wayne to R from there, which is very true. Stephanie says, I remember the Pepsi Coke wars. My stepdad was pro Coke when my mom was Pepsi. Oh my God. When asked as a teen, I made the mistake of shrugging and said, I couldn't taste the difference between the two. Those are fighting words, Stephanie. Fighting. Okay, let's see here. Joy says, I think my friends want to kill me. They all hate when Thursday comes up because the first thing I say is, guess what came out today? I'm sure. Dragon's Reign. Kyle asked, do I know when Cinders and Ashes is out in audio? I have not gotten the audio back from Edward yet. When it comes back, it takes me about a week to review, then some time for them to make changes. And then after that, when we submit it, to be honest with you, it's whenever ACX get its act together. So probably not for another 2 months or so. I have very little control over that. David said, I was listening to the Two Princes podcast and it suggested Dragon's Reign is a similar genre. That's how I was introduced. I love Dragon's Reign. I'm so glad. I am so glad. And you are here, which is awesome. Okay, we are going to continue now with chapter 60. The Altaith, Gehenna began, then stopped. He gazed down at her. She was practically suction cupped to his leg. While she was so sorry, this was expressed in emojis and more about shocking him about the Altaith. She still thought that it had been the best way to do it, like ripping off a band-aid. But now she appeared to want to be as open as possible. What about them, Gehenna? Jace asked. They have mates, she answered quickly. So you might be having emotional stability issues with Khoth because... Because he's my mate? Jace's eyebrows lifted up into his hairline. He felt a mixture of excitement and dread. Excitement because he dreamed of finding someone just for him, like his parents had. But dread because they just met. He couldn't expect Khoth to feel the same, no matter what the words he said to Jace. No, because he's not, Gehenna explained. Jace felt like he was going to vomit. His joy turned to darkness. He's not what? Not yet. Not yet is what I meant, she quickly amended, and her little round head was focused on him. You aren't fully connected. I'll tell you the mating rituals are not something that I have a great deal of knowledge about. Feeling better, but still nettled, Jace answered, well, we just met, and it would be insane to think we're to be together forever. Just the two of us, no one else. And yet it appealed to him hugely, even as he denied it. For a human, yes, it would be very quick and unusual, but for an Altaith, maybe not, Gehenna said. Can you find out for me about Altaith mating and stuff? Jace asked, a little embarrassed that he couldn't find this himself. Of course. It's not any of the bases I have access to currently, but there are sure to be new ones here, she answered brightly. So the Altaith teach you about themselves? Jace asked her. No, there wasn't time for that, and my purpose didn't require such information, she admitted. Gehenna. He paused and chewed his lower lips. What exactly is your purpose? To help you. Yeah, but before there was me, he prodded. Well, there are some gaps in my memory banks, but I'm pretty sure I was to, It's okay, Gehenna, you can tell me. Because you see, whatever it was, you have a new purpose now, right? Jace assured her. She let out a stream of emojis with huge smiley faces. Oh, thank you, Jace. And you're right, I'm here to help and to protect. But before, I think I was supposed to sabotage the Osiris, Jace, she whispered, so small and soft. Yeah, I had a feeling that might be it, Jace nodded. But I don't know why. Other than it is such a big meanie and so arrogant. Really, some of the subroutines it sends to me. She made a disgusted noise and a line of vomiting emojis appeared. Jace smiled. Reason enough, I guess. But you're not sure of why the people who programmed you wanted you to sabotage the Osiris? Only the people who made me and the people who made the Osiris were not in agreement, Gehenna said, and shrug emojis appeared. Yeah, well, I guess it doesn't matter, so long as we're on the same page now, Jace muttered. Most definitely. Both of us are here to help you, Jace. We're one big family, Gehenna gushed. And don't you worry, Koth will become part of this family, or more a part of this family, too. Thanks, Gehenna. Amana and Typhon both turned around to face the Kanso. Now that their greeting was over, it was time for the rest of them to get out of the Kanso. Justiciar Thadden, please exit first, Jace indicated. Thank you, pilot. Thadden stood at the top of the stairs for a moment. This is the first time I am in my new home. Jace glanced at Koth to see how he was taking that statement. This could be his new home, too. But Koth's expression was neutral as he watched his father descend the stairs. Amana immediately greeted the older Thethel with warmth and affection. It's so good to have you home, cousin, she said as he squeezed her hand in his. I am so grateful for this welcome, Amana, Thadden said, appearing almost misty-eyed, but quickly recovered himself. He'd gone through a lot to have so much of his emotional state show. I understand, Thadden, Jace thought. Too damned much. I would like to go out next with Gehenna, Davies said, as he stepped in front of Jace and made a hand gesture toward Gehenna like she was a roly-poly dog. For your safety. Of course, Lieutenant Commander. Jace inclined his head. Davies and Gehenna rolled out together. They went in different directions at the base of the stairs and slowly patrolled the landing pad. Now Jace could see and control every defensive and offensive weapons in place, so arguably Davies' security was unnecessary. But there was always a chance that Jace or the Osiris might miss something. Jace was happy to be doubly sure. I do not make such mistakes, the Osiris sniffed. Okay, I just say me too, right? You are the pilot. The Osiris was tart as a lemon. Doctor, you go ahead, Jace said with the tip of his head. Aha, so goodness, yes. I would very much like that. So many people to speak to and things to see. Dr. Hayter practically jumped up and clicked his heels together before dashing down the stairs. He is very much like Gehenna in this situation, Koth said slowly. He appears one thing when he is another. Oh, I do think he's really that excited. Despite his deep understanding of psychology, he's not jaded whatsoever, Jace laughed. Shall we go then? Shall we join them? Yeah, let's go. Jace found himself holding his breath as they set foot on the landing pad. He had already set foot on Hassian at the spaceport, but he'd been too upset to truly enjoy it. Now that he felt more himself, despite the fact that literally everything had changed in a car ride, he could enjoy this. Maybe Khoth really is my mate. If I'm secure with him, I'm secure with everything. Oh boy. Amanda stepped forward, away from her brother's side, and approached them both. She smiled broadly at Khoth and clasped his hand. Cousin, how glad I am to have you here. My Z has ached for you and all that has occurred, Amanda said genuinely. But you have been brave and honorable as always. Koth gave a brief nod and seemed a little stiffer than normal. Like Thama, Arana cut to the chase. Jace rather liked her already. She then turned to Jace, and her blue-on-blue eyes shimmered with emotion. If you had not acted as you did, dearest cousin, we would have lost the last Altaith, she said, her lower lip quivering. She extended one hand towards Jace, but did not go so far as to touch him. He reached for her, and they clasped hands. Her palm was warm and dry, while her fingers were cool. She brushed those fingers over the back of his hand in a sort of wonder. Khoth is incredible, Jace said. I'm Jace, by the way. The pilot, she murmured. Yes, but Jace is fine, he found himself saying. Jace. She seemed to be tasting his name and nodded. I am Amana. I would be honored if you would call each other by our first names. Me too, Jace nodded. But may I ask, how did you know I wasn't Altaith? I was surprised when your brother seemingly guessed. Her eyes widened. She glanced back at her brother as if to question why he hadn't explained. Typhon merely gazed back neutrally, as if to make it her choice what she said. She turned back to him. The cell sheet clacked. Jace tried not to express his dismay at the thought that Khoth no longer had his. Our family was the first to occupy this compound after the Altaith left, she explained. It had not been ransacked and the tech taken or destroyed. We were able to find an intact database, Jace found himself saying. I found it, Jace! Gehenna cried. Oh, it's totally offline, not on the network at all. It appears to be on a shielded parallel network. What database? There is no database in that structure, the Osiris growled. Why couldn't the Osiris find it, but you can, Gehenna? Jace asked. Because, oh, it was made by the same people who made me, Gehenna cried, her round head swirling around. I need to physically access it to get all the information. Follow me. She was suddenly wheeling towards the steps that led down into the compound. Amana had stopped talking and was blinking at him. Typhon looked mildly alarmed, especially when Jace grabbed Koth's arm and tugged him after Gehenna. I'm sorry, Jace said with a rather wild laugh. We have to go see this database right now. And that is the end of chapter 60. Okay. La 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 la. Okay. All right. Let's as we go. Going back up. The Pepsi Coke situation is continuing to go on in the chat. I love it. And then Shaylin says she's not fond of sodas. No, for shame. Abby says, I'm here first time for your live. Nice. A lot of people listening to Two Princes here and they came here. Let's see. Two Princes and Dragon's Reign, which is nice. I've heard about this. Can the shifters get sick? Yes. But rarely. James said, I need to finish your Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is cursed. That was friggin' hot. I lost it after your Beast character, sorry, bad with names, was fleeing back to India. Yes. Okay. You were not it's not static. It is, in fact, she was just vacuuming in the other room. Let's see here. I love that they are mates, my heart. And then Artiston was like, yeah, it's very much I was crying. I couldn't believe I was crying, but I was definitely crying. I mean, I cried when I wrote it, even though I know what's going to happen. I cried when I read it, even if I definitely know. All right, let's keep going. Let's go on to 61 because I feel bad. She's cleaning around me here. We'll just try to go power through to the end, man. Power through. Because we're already, oh wow, we're already over an hour. Woohoo! All right, let's let me take a drink here. Okay. Chapter 61, Database. We can show you the database, Amana offered as she and Typhon hurried after them. Oh, we know the way. Gehenna's like a dog with a bone about stuff like this. Jace waved over his shoulder at her. Oh, well, don't worry. We've got this covered. Jace flashed a brilliant smile at her. He'd even taken off his sunglasses now that they were inside the compound. The ball that was Gehenna rolled ahead at top speed down the steps towards a lift. Khoth found himself jogging, then running to keep up with her and Jace. They soon left their own crew members, as well as Typhon and Amana, behind. The moment the three of them were in the sleek lift that smelled of Jotun flowers, the doors shut and they were on their way to the lowest floor. Jace smiled up at him with an almost delirious look of delight. There's going to be a ton of stuff about the Altaith in this. Like, customs and stuff. Important stuff. Jace blushed and ducked his head. Stuff? Is that a technical term that I do not yet understand? Khoth lifted an eyebrow. Jace blushed a hotter red. which Koth found quite fascinating as it coursed beneath the collar of Jace's uniform. He admitted to himself that he truly wished to know how far that color extended, but he also admitted to himself that it was inappropriate to think that. Then Jace was leaning against him, cuddling there as the lift rocketed downwards. Gehenna's little dome head tilted to the side, and she let out an audible "Ah." Koth did not resist the urge to kiss the top of Jace's head. Jace lifted his face up, and a second kiss was placed upon Jace's lips. Whatever this stuff is, I am eager to understand if it brings out the desire to kiss in you, Koth admitted, even as he felt his own cheeks bluing. Jace beamed. I always want to kiss you. It was killing me to not do it earlier. That is a saying, yes. You were not actually being killed. No, Koth, I wasn't. It was just very hard, excruciatingly hard. So I feel we earned that kiss, Jace told him, squeezing his arm. Koth yearned for another kiss, but the doors to the lift opened and a long hallway appeared before them. It was not part of the well-traveled halls in the Maturin compound. Those were filled with art and antiques from the Turin's long family history, but these halls were smooth and blank. They were a reddish-brown color, while the floor was black. Jace reached over and touched them. Older construction. Maybe even before the Altaith were here, Jace murmured. He tilted his head to the side as Gehenna rolled out past them. This world was inhabited before. Before the Altaith. Koth lifted an eyebrow. Jace nodded. The labyrinth was here. He shook his head and placed two fingers against his right temple and grimaced. I'm having trouble keeping my connection to the Osiris here, and the broken systems are making things more difficult. Perhaps we should limit our time in this area, Koth suggested. You were going to say that maybe I should go upstairs and lay down, right? Jace grinned. But then you realized I would never do that, so you amended your suggestion. Exactly, Koth nodded. You're learning. Jace danced a few feet down the hallway. We can't give up this mystery. Not when we're so close. I mean, now would be the perfect time for something terrible to go wrong and the database to be destroyed. So, why would the database be destroyed? Koth frowned. Because we're here, and it might be important. That's sort of how it always goes in the stories, Jason admitted with a shrug. But neither his discomfort at being separated from the Osiris or the broken machinery dampened his enthusiasm. Knowing, though, that Jace needed to get back upstairs and wondering if their host would mind them simply accessing their sacred Altair technology, had Koth urging the young man down the corridor. No one appeared to be down here, and now that he thought of it, they had gone to a floor not listed on the sensor. The light for the final lower floor above them had stayed lit for longer than any of the others, at least two floors distance, and then it had simply winked out, and no lights were on. He was betting that Amana and Typhon didn't allow anyone but themselves down here, but Jace had given them no chance to decide otherwise. I see. It is almost as if you expect the hand of fate to step in and cause extra problems for us, Koth said as they followed the rolling ball that was Gehenna. Exactly. Koth considered this as they walked swiftly. But do you not think we have sufficient problems ahead of us with the Council, the Alliance, Earth, and the Cool? Um, then there's also the simple discovery of this database that the Osiris could not even see. And yeah, okay, I see your point. I'm being romantic about this, but this database could lead to stuff. Koth playfully finished. Yeah, completely. Jace wrapped his arms around Koth's nearest one as they appeared to be the only people nearby. Another kiss on the head was doled out. The corridor branched and branched again, with other smaller hallways on either side of them. Some went straight, but others sloped downwards. Koth's sense of direction was quickly overcome, but his comm computers mapped out the area around them, and sure enough, it was a labyrinth, like Jason had suggested. The sensors in the comm could not go very deep, but it was evident that there were significant structures below them. Jace pointed to one in particular that was hardly marked in and said, That's where one of the generators is that's not working. If I fix that, oh boy, things would be so much better for this section of the city. I wish the people of the Alliance could know just how eager you are to assist them, without any desire for recompense, Koth said softly. Hassian is the crown jewel in the Alliance, but from what you say, It's running at like 30% capacity, Jace quantified. Khoth, I could fix it. I could fix all of it. Well, mostly all. The Osiris's report indicates what kind of materials we need shipped in, including more calcanth. You know where more calcanth can be mined? Oh, yeah. Koth nearly screeched to a halt, but forced himself to keep walking, as Gehenna wasn't stopping, nor was Jace. But his momentary blip of Z was understandable. Where the Calcanth came from was one of the greatest mysteries of the Altaith. Jace, so far, no Alliance world has any native Calcanth on it. We have sought the mineral and, well, it's not really mined, Jace said carefully. It's grown, and he put his fingers on Jace's lips. Don't say anything here. This is the most important substance in the Alliance, Jace. You must use this as leverage. Jace blinked and kissed his fingers, which had Koth drawing them back and caressing Jace's chin. You're right, though. I don't want to negotiate like this with the Alliance, not quid pro quo. It won't make things right between us, Jace told him, but it might be the only way. Well, I have told you that my people are ruled by their Azaz. I have become quite aware that this was a misapprehension, Koth told Jace in due solemnity. Jace's lips quirked into one of those grins. Yeah, I get you. You feel you've misled me to thinking that the Fel will see that working with us is best logically, but that's not the case? Indeed. I think the reactions are pretty logical, actually. It's like when the general wondered how a store clerk could handle negotiations with the head of an intergalactic alliance. It was only after I showed him that I could that he believed in me. They shrugged. You've seen what I'm capable of with Osiris and Gehenna, but all the alliance has seen is a species that they considered lesser, suddenly making the rules and demanding to handle things. You are not, Koth paused. Human? Maybe not on the inside, not anymore, but that's for sure. Jason blew out a long breath. But I was raised human by people who thought they were human too. Genetically, I'm an Altaith, but in every other respect, I'm human. Amana will disagree with you, as would Typhon, Koth pointed out. While Amana has always been spiritual. Singer, poet, so yep, she's loud, Jace laughed. Koth nodded. That was correct. Typhon has never shown any worshipful tendencies towards the Altaith, but I saw them today. He worships me? Oh, so I can tell what a bastard he was for taking advantage of you? Jace flashed him a look, and there was a momentary show of concern in those eyes. His actions were not honorable. I see that clearly now. But they are in the past, and they have given me a unique understanding of relationships, Koth explained softly. He cupped Jace's cheeks. On how not to behave. Yeah, well, I still want to beat his ass. Jace pursed his lips. He is an ally, an imperfect one, but one nonetheless. I am, however, greatly touched by your desire to defend me, Koth admitted, finding the intimate words hard to say in the Maturin compound, even as he was convinced there were cameras and listening devices everywhere. But Gehenna would know if there were, even if Jace could not reach Osiris easily. Any time. I would do anything. Jace cleared his throat. Well, you mean an awful lot to me. So much. My Z is in agreement with your Z, Koth said, feeling warmth build within his chest. They had stopped in the middle of the hallway while Gehenna rolled on ahead. Now he heard her call to them in a high, squeaky voice filled with excitement. I found it! Come, come! Gehenna squealed. His calm burst to life with many smiley emojis, as well as confetti and other signs of celebration. We've fallen behind. Can't let Gehenna have all the fun. Jace flashed his trademarked grin. No, indeed, especially since the database could be destroyed by fate at any moment just to add to our worries. Koth smiled back as they jogged in the direction of Gehenna's voice. Jace let out a brilliant laugh. They found Gehenna in a room down a secondary hallway. Jace froze at the threshold and let out a whoa. You weren't kidding that they worshipped the Altaith, Jace said as he gestured to the room in front of them. Though that database, man, even I'm feeling a little worshipful. The room was square with a barrel-vaulted ceiling. The stone was a darker red than the hall and made up everything from the walls to the floor to the ceiling. The database was situated in the center. It was not some metallic box with an opening for inputs and outputs, but instead it was a glowing blue-white construct that hovered 3 feet above the ground. All in all, it was a cube, but it was made of light, and there were sections that moved independently of one another, slowly turning or twisting to create shapes that would then be destroyed as the light uncombined and recombined. It was the only sort of light in the room. There were prayer mats on each side of it, as well as cell sheet beads and bowls that were being bathed in the database's light. Gehenna rolled around the outside of the room, observing the database from all angles. I could definitely connect, she informed them with delight. It's like it was made for me. I'll just. No, Gehenna, stop, Jace cried. What? Why, Jace? It surely has some information we could use. We have no idea what it could do to you, to us. Jace hurried into the room to address the ball. Oh, but. Gehenna's head moved restlessly. It could be important. I'm sure it is, and I could shield you by partitioning myself. No, partitioning yourself means we'll be separated. I don't want that, Jace told her. I don't want to be separated either, she responded loyally. But this is special, and nothing is more special than you, Gehenna, Jace told her. Her bald head lifted high off the ball body for a moment, her voice filled with emotion. Jace, I feel the same. I know you're excited to see what's in this thing. I am too. This might tell you about the people who made you, or even why you were made overall, Jace said, rubbing the back of his neck. But it could also change you, rewrite you, infect you. We don't know. I'm just not willing to risk that. Yes, I suppose you're right. I was going to say that my abilities are second to none, but this is my maker's work, so they would have anticipated what I could do, she agreed, her head dipping slightly. Now that I see this, I realize we have to go slow, Jace told her, patting her dome. It's fun to dive in, but not at the expense of your friends. She leaned against Jace's legs, making a strange purring sound, as if she were a human feline. A human feline? I think I just mean a feline. Khoth stepped over to them as he too observed the construct. The Maturans are best to interact with this database. That does not require AI involvement. Perhaps that is the best first step to be taken. You're so right, Khoth. Jace brightened as did Gehenna. I guess that old adage is true that when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and you forget that maybe you need a screwdriver. Khoth's eyebrows lifted into his hairline. Yes, I think I understand what you were saying. It means that sometimes we forget that there's more than one way to skin a cat, Jace answered. Khoth regarded him silently. Jace's lips twitched, but then he explained solemnly, there's more than one way to solve a problem, and that's when we have one tool we're using and that when we have one tool we're used to using on problems that we forget there are other tools. Ah, yes, that makes sense, Khoth responded neutrally. I guess we shouldn't have outpaced the owners of this place, Jay said, but then perked up. Oh, but they're here. At that moment, Amana, Typhon, and his father, Davies, and Dr. Hayter walked into the room. Typhon performed the gauge ritual of forming a circle on his forehead and drawing a line with his fingers down to his chest. Z and Za made as one. He bowed his head and stepped to the side. Amana did the same. His father and the other two watched curiously, but did not repeat the gesture. His father had never worshipped the Altaith as the great creators. Khoth had never been so grateful for that. He knew Jace would find that off-putting as well as intimidating. I see you did know where to go. Amana glided towards Jace, her expression and voice welcoming. Jace gave a rather shamefaced shrug. I'm sorry. We shouldn't have come here without your permission. But she waved away his apology. You're the last Altaith, and this is yours more than it could ever be ours. In fact, our whole world is yours, Typhon remarked quietly. Well, I think it's a little big for one person, don't you? Jace asked lightly. Typhon inclined his head. We are only here at your indulgence. Oh, no. Jace waved that off almost frantically. If you weren't here, this world would be dead. The city's silent. How could that be a good thing? I'm so glad that you and the Alliance are using the tech. In fact, I want to see it working properly. You said something like that up above, and then you fixed our shields. Reports from our security forces indicate that the shields have other functions, as well as none being able to breach them now, Typhon remarked. Do you mean that more systems could be fixed in this manner? Jace nodded eagerly, clearly warming up to the subject. Oh yeah, like I was telling Khoth, this whole planet is only working at like 30% capacity. There's so much that needs fixing and optimizing, and None of which our pilot can do for you while we're treated as enemies, Davies put in dryly, echoing Khoth's earlier point. Jace's head drooped. Yeah, I guess that's true. Amana's eyes had been fixed upon Jace. At his disappointment, she placed an elegant hand on his shoulders. Your Z shines like the sun and stars, she said sweetly. Your desire to help us when we've shown you such little welcome is, well, it is fitting of your species' greatness. I'm human and not so great, Jace told her earnestly. I'll take body, but human mind. That's my programming, so to speak. You've hardly had a chance to get to know Davies and Dr. Hayter, but I can assure you that they and all the human crew are worth knowing. Amana bowed her head. I am eager to meet them all and know them as I wish to know you as the last Altaith. Well, I'm not technically the last. My mother and father have those genes, Jace said, and they're very cool. My dad's on the Osiris, and mom should arrive any minute. But you are the only one the la 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 la. But you are the only one the Osiris chose to purify, correct? Typhon asked. Jace made a face, his lips pressed together and his forehead wrinkled. Purify is a word with a troubling. Oh, this is Dr. Hayter, my friends. Purify is a word with a troubling history for humanity, used in that context, just as Yerba returned, Dr. Hayter said, putting his hands together in front of him as if lecturing a class. It's associated with eugenics, which allowed those in power to commit heinous acts against the weak, disenfranchised, or simply different. Typhon nodded, but did not rephrase the question. There could only be one pilot, Jace said. And I am that one of everyone. That doesn't mean my parents are extraordinary or worthy. No, of course not. Amana cast a pleading look at her brother. He did not mean it that way. We look forward to welcoming your parents to Hassian and humanity to the Alliance. You may come to find that it is better for people to think you are utterly singular, pilot, Typhon said. Otherwise, there will be those who will mine Earth for more with Altaith genes who might not have proper intentions. Jace frowned. I see what you're saying. They would hope that finding others with Altaith genes would assist them in harnessing more aspects of Altaith technology, yes? Another bow. Yes. It doesn't work that way. Just so we're clear on that. Jace looked hard at Typhon just in case he was going to look for humans to do that too. I'm well aware, Typhon answered, though I wonder if some of your crew have Altaith ancestry. We didn't even know I was an Altaith, so it wasn't a screening criteria, Jace replied dryly. But perhaps you chose unconsciously, Amana suggested. Well, that would be interesting, but unlikely, as we were chosen by General. Oh, Dr. Hayter. I keep missing him, guys. Sorry. Well, that would be interesting, but unlikely, as we were chosen by General Antashkin, Dr. Hayter said. You allowed the General to send you recruits. Typhon's right eyebrow lifted. And I chose among them. Khoth crossed his arms over his chest. We are quite satisfied with Dr. Hayter and Lieutenant Commander Davies. I see. Typhon frowned slightly. He did not. He had no idea that Jace and he were quite aware of the General's machinations, and that Davies was a spy, or was supposed to be a spy, or might be a spy, but was working for all of humanity or something. Could you demonstrate how you access the database? Khoth gestured to the glowing, shifting Altaith creation. Of course, please let me. Amana said as she settled herself on one of the prayer rugs facing the database. Gehenna and Jace came over to stand beside her. Khoth remained behind her. She performed the gauge ritual again. The database's separate parts ceased moving and instead unfolded into what appeared to be a three-dimensional image of the Osiris, and then Earth, and then another planet. Oh, that's where I was made, I think. Thausia. Gehenna rolled back and forth eagerly. We believe this planet was the last stand for the Altaith. The Osiris was built there as well, Gehenna, Amana said. It's strange, but there's no mention of you. Oh, well, I don't know, Gehenna said awkwardly. Jace patted her head again. She snuggled against him. Khoth believed that the information in Gehenna was hidden, perhaps locked away behind layers of security that Amana couldn't access. Have you consulted with Dr. Lefray about this? Khoth gestured to the database. The need to scientist. I know that she's working on Thausia, but we've kept this Secret, Mana explained. My sister spoke to her in depth. It led her to know that the Osiris came from Thausia and its purpose, Khoth said. Which is to destroy the Cool? Typhon asked. Jace nodded. It's a warship, and the pilot, me, can use all the Untitled technology against them. Oh! A smile bloomed on Jace's face. Mom's here. I can't wait for her to see Hassan. I know that. No. All the color drained from Jace's face. His eyes were that bright electric blue that occurred when he was connected deeply with the Osiris. Jace turned towards Khoth. The Cool. They're here, Jace said. And that was when the general alarm sounded. Something never heard on Hassian before. And that is the end of 61. Oh my god, I got through it. Oh, my nose. Oh, my voice. Ah! Let's see here. Raythe, have you seen the TV show Our Flag Means Death? It's amazing. Best show ever. Everyone here needs to watch it. Gay Pirates. I will have to watch it. That's what you were asking if I was going to do cowboys or pirates in a comment. I'm not going to do cowboys or pirates. I always see those cowboy covers and laugh. I know people love them, but I don't know why. I just don't. They're all named Cade. So good to see you two, Liv. Let's see what we got here. Eleanor says, laugh out loud. I've had teachers in the past who criticized the use of the word stuff. Oh, God, yes. Me too. Sophie says, the elevator scene is so cute. Tara says, Jace doesn't understand the concept of jinxing himself, apparently. That was totally my fun with this because I knew it was going to happen. I was like, yeah, the Cool are going to come. So just when they get to the database. Joy, everybody's cats are evil. It's so true. They're adorably cute, but evil. Jace is so cute, Stephanie. I just adore him too. Me too. Lady Jean is falling asleep while listening. I'm going to listen to the rest tomorrow. Thank you. You're more than welcome. Gehenna is so cute. She is. She totally is small alien. James says, Amanda sounds pretty attractive herself. Like a flamboyant Nebula. Yeah, she is a little bit. She's a little bit more innocent, I guess, than Nebula, because I think of Nebula as being very worldly wise, but she is not. Joy asks, why do I leave you on cliffhangers? I have the clean of cliffhangers. Eleanor says, me naughty bugs. That's about it. The Cool are pretty horrible. What's coming up? Tara loves it. Thank you. David's like, don't stop. What happens in chapter 62? I know. This is like the worst. We really go in, and I think the next 10 chapters are literally the battle with the Cool. Yeah, someone's like, oh my god, bad guys coming. Yes, they are. Small alien, no, the Cool are here. Stephanie's like, cliffhangers are Raythe's specialty. Yes. And it goes right. That's right. The battle begins. So, guys, this was really spectacular. I thank you so much for being here today. Happy Easter for those who celebrate indeed, Crystal. Next month will be a blast. It'll come faster than we think. I'm just thrilled to have you all with me. Really and truly, it's just such a wonderful time. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to blow my nose, and I'm going to let poor Maria vacuum and get over here because I am in the way. Me and Mew are both like, oh, we have to move again? Yes, we have to move again. Thank you, guys. You're the best. Take care of yourselves, and we will see one another soon.